Man, I gotta tell you, I am so happy to have all the controversy behind us, right? Episode 2, we have the whole Baby Yoda eating eggs. That's a whole controversy. And then episode 3, it's Boo Bomber. I mean, everyone's got a problem with something, right? So it feels so good to finally get to episode 4, where there's just nothing controversial. It's just gonna be a good story, just a lot of fun. Ooh. How's it going, everybody? This is Phil, and we are on episode 4, season 2, chapter 12 of The Mandalorian. This one is called The Siege. So this one picks up again right where episode 3 left off, and the Mandalorian is making his way through space with Baby Yoda in the Black Pearl. I mean, he's in the Razor Crest. And the Razor Crest, it's just kind of hobbling along at this point. So we look inside the vehicle, and we have the Mandalorian, and he's got a Baby Yoda in this tight little confined area, this small little conduit, and he's got him trying to plug the wires in, and he ends up eventually electrocuting himself. And it's all in all, it's a cute scene. The kid doesn't get hurt. He just gets a little battered. But it's a fun little scene there. And you know, at this point, it's like, look, we got to make some repairs, which, I mean, I was saying this last episode, is like, this ship, how much more could it possibly take? It's barely holding itself together. So they make a detour, and we head over to Navarro. And of course, with Carl Weathers directing this episode, you had to figure that we were going to in some way cross paths with him and possibly Cara Dune, and that we do. So then we cut to actually the planet of Navarro, and we appear to be what looks like the old underground covert of the Mandalorians when they were there. And there's a bunch of Aqualish thugs, Ponda Bobas, if you will, and they are raiding this old facility. And Cara Dune, she comes in, and like, it's the Marshal, and apparently now she's the Marshal here in the settlement. And she goes in there, she takes them all out, and badass as ever. Gina Carano is Cara Dune. Love Gina Carano, love Cara Dune, love the character. Strong, powerful, capable female character that I can actually believe is capable of doing the things that she does on screen. So she takes all these guys out. She befriends a little ferret there, which I'm sure Sideshow Collectibles of Hot Toys is going to include in her figure once they probably put out the 1/6 scale Cara Dune collectible action figure. That'll be an accessory in the deluxe package. So then we get the title card, and we get the Mandalorian. He flies in, and he touches down. He's greeted by Greef Karga, Cara Dune, and they plan to have the ship repaired for him. And we see two mechanics. One of them looks kind of shady. He just has this shady look to him. The way he's like kind of like just staring a little bit too long. So anyway, they head into town, and you can see that things are more wide open now. There's a lot more activity, and as we head into the cantina, we can actually see one of the cool things is that if you look in the background, there's a statue of what appears to be IG-11. So it looks like there's an homage to him as far as his heroics from the final episode of season 1. So they go into this old wretched hive of scum and villainy, and it's been converted into a schoolhouse. So the Mandalorian reluctantly leaves Baby Yoda with all the children at the schoolhouse. They assured him that he'll be safe there. All the kids, they start to look at him, like, what's going on? What is this little guy? Who is this kid? And we get this fun little scene where Baby Yoda uses his force powers to steal some cookies, because he's always hungry. So then we jump over to Greef Karga's office, and as they make their way in there, we see the mithril that the Mandalorian actually captured on episode 1. So again, it's nice. I love that they bring these old supporting characters back into the fold, and you never know when they're going to pop up. And as the show gets further along and we bring more characters in, it's always exciting and fun to see them pop in and pop out and play a little role here and there. So they start discussing that there is an Imperial base on the other side of the planet, and they have plans to basically take it out, and if they could do that, clear the planet out, then it'll open up the trade zone. And Grief Karga, he's obviously looking to create more revenue for himself. The guy is a businessman, so the Mandalorian, reluctantly, as always, he agrees to help them out. So they all embark on a mission through the lava fields. They head over to the base. They try to get into the door. Mandalorian, he flies up with his jetpack. A few seconds later, you see a stormtrooper just land. The door opens up, and they convince our little blue friend to come along with them. So the withdrawal, Grief Karga, Cara Dune, they get in the elevator. They make their way up top. They see a Trexler Marauder. They see speeder bikes. They start making their way through there. Apparently, there's more soldiers here than they first realized. They basically thought it was a skeleton crew when they were going to just kind of take this base out. But it seems like there's a lot more activity going on here than they anticipated. So the plan is to basically shut down the cooling shields. I believe that the facility taps into one of the lava streams. That's where it's getting its power from. So if they shut down the cooling system, the base will eventually overheat and it'll be destroyed. So they get to the control room, and there's this console there, and it's very much like from A New Hope, where Obi-Wan Kenobi has to go out and he's on the ledge, and there's no railings there, and actually the Mythrol, he makes a remark as well. So it's kind of fun where they throw these little nods into the original trilogy, and it's kind of, again, it's done with the wink. So they're able to shut down the cooling lines, and they got to get out of this base right away, because once it blows, that's it, everything's over. So they start making their way through the hallways, and they come across a couple of Imperial guards who seem to be purging the system of information. So there's a brief firefight that takes place. They take them out, and then they go to the console, and the Mythrol is about to get. He's able to pull up some information as to what they're doing there. And you see behind them, there's these big, huge tanks. What looks like some type of cloning experiment gone wrong. Some people thinking that it could be clones of Snoke, failed clones of Snoke. I don't think that's the case. Maybe I'm more hoping it's not the case, but it's some type of failed biological cloning experiment. At least that's what it seems like. And this is at the point where they become aware that this is more than just a military base. It's some type of a lab. So the Mythrol, he's at the console, and he's able to access an old recording from the Doctor from the first season. I forget his name. And he just basically is recounting what's going on with the experiments, the fact that the blood that was extracted from the child, which had a high M count, which we can only assume stands for midichlorians. The blood was rejected, and the subjects did not survive. And basically, he closes it off with saying, we're going to need more blood, because I can only extract so much without killing the subject, being the child, and we're going to need more if we're going to continue this experimentation. And then he closes off by saying, I will not fail you, I will not disappoint you. Something to that effect, Moff Gideon. And the Mandalorian is like, well, this is old. This is obviously an old transmission, because Moff Gideon is dead. And they said, no, this was only this was a couple of days ago. So then, obviously the Mandalorian is just like, shit, Moff Gideon is still around. So it's at this point that the Mandalorian realizes that the child, he's in danger. He's got to get back to town as soon as possible. So he flies off with his jetpack, leaving the Mythrol, Grief Karga, and Cara Dune. They're in a firefight. They got to get out of there. Eventually, they make their way to the platform where we saw the Marauder. They're able to commandeer the ship. They take off in it, and it's great. I mean, fantastic shit. This episode is so loaded with great action, and we get this awesome chase between the Marauder and the speeder bikes, and they dive off of the platform, and they're barreling down the side of this mountain, and there's two bikes. I mean, they take the time to have the two bikes just kind of knock into each other and explode. I mean, it's just like no expense is spared, and just the action and the set piece and the presentation here. So we get this great chase where they're just going down, the ravine, the lava fields, and then we get TIE fighters and they're going as well to intercept the Marauder. They're able to take out all of the speeder bikes, and then we get the TIE fighters, and they're closing in on them, and then we get into a clearing where the Marauder is just like, you can see the town off in the distance, but it's just now they're sitting ducks, they're in the wide open, so it's easy pickings, and it's like, what is going to happen, and the tension builds, and just as they're about to bite the dust, you get the big save, just like the Millennium Falcon from the original A New Hope. When it comes in, it saves Luke, and is, we're all clear, kid, and the Razor Crest comes in and takes him out, saves the day, and then he engages in a dogfight, and you see it cuts. It's so funny. Cuts to the inside, and Baby Yoda is sitting there, and he's got his hands up, and he's such a little like speed demon. He's always eating, and he loves stuff that goes fast. I mean, he's just a kid, he's like my nephews. I mean, he just wants to just go as fast as possible, and he wants to eat when he wants to eat. So they save the day. They call it even as far as repairs on the ship are concerned. And the Mandalorian takes off with the child to the next destination to find Ahsoka Tano, which I said that we're probably most likely not going to see her in this episode. So, next episode's a big episode. We're going to see her. Dave Filoni is directing it, so he's the one who deserves to direct Ahsoka Tano in her first live on-screen appearance. I mean, it only makes sense. The guy created the character along with George Lucas. So, but at the end, unfortunately, we see that one of those mechanics installed a tracking device. So now the Razor Crest is being tracked by the remnants of the Galactic Empire. And then we cut to Moff Gideon, and he's on the ship. And as the episode comes to a close, we see he's in a room, and we see these dark troopers to the right or left of him. So he's building this army. And that's how the episode ends up closing out. So all in all, I really, really liked this episode, just because there was so much action, and it was so fun, and the humor was good. The stuff with Baby Yoda was really cute, but it was also funny. Like it wasn't so insipid that it was just like, oh, I can't take this character. I know some people are Baby Yoda haters, but I have fun with the character. I thought when he was in the conduit trying to fix the ship, helping out the Mandalorian, I really enjoyed that interaction with those two. I like the little moment where they're just kind of sitting there and they're having some broth together, and the Mandalorian, he kind of lifts up his helmet a little bit. You see Baby Yoda's kind of like looking up at him, see what's doing. It's really cool little touches that they do with that character, with that puppet, the way they animate him. He's a fun little guy on the show. I love him when he's throwing his hands up and he's having the time of his life, and then of course his stomach is upset because he overate and he threw up on himself. Funny stuff, really cute. And as far as Moff Gideon is concerned, this guy, he's building his own little army here, and some people are like, is this the creation of Snoke? And I don't know what they're going to do and how much they're going to try to tie this into the sequel trilogy. For me, it just feels like there are remnants of the Galactic Empire, and I think Moff Gideon strikes me as a person who sees an opportunity to rise up and take hold of what is left. And when the Empire was killed and the Death Star was destroyed, and you still have this vast army all over the galaxy, and it creates this power vacuum. So somebody is going to rise to power, and Moff Gideon, he's got the dark saber. I don't know whether or not he's force sensitive, but he seems like just this sure-handed, tactical, very well respected and feared force within the Empire, and a lot of people fear and respect him, and he just seems like, through pure will and tyranny, that he's just going to rise to power and bring the Empire back to where it was, back to its rightful place, in control of the galaxy, and through might and brute force, he's going to take it any way he possibly can, and that's how I like to see and view that character. Obviously, if the Emperor technically is still around in some way, his essence. He could be the one pulling all the strings behind the scenes. Where this all ties in with the overall story, it remains to be seen. I'd like to think that this, even though it exists in the timeline of the movies, in between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, and there are characters that are coming in and out that are from the movies and the shows and everything like that, I still would like to feel like it's its own self-contained story. So whatever Moff Gideon is doing doesn't necessarily need to tie into the greater story, especially the sequel trilogy. Just leave that leave that where it is, and let's just enjoy this show. And yeah, if there's stuff that maybe call forward to it and stuff that calls back to the other trilogies, then that's fine, but let's have this kind of be its own self-contained thing in a way. I don't know, that's just, I feel better about it like that, because to me, it's really doing its own thing, and it's doing a fine job of it, especially as it relates to just giving the fans what they want, which is just some decent Star Wars. I mean, and it's been better than decent. So other than that, I really loved seeing Grief Karga back. I love Carl Weathers, and I think he did a fine job directing this episode. Again, a great action-packed episode from nearly beginning to end. I mean, this is a really good episode as far as I'm concerned, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's one of my favorite episodes. I love seeing Gina Carano back. Talented, strong, powerful, very capable woman, and believable in the role. I like her character, and I like her as a person, so I'm happy that she's here, and I'm glad to see that she isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It was great to see the Mythrol back. It was fun when they were running around that Imperial base. It felt like he was kind of a more capable C-3PO, where he was the butt of a lot of jokes. He was kind of clumsy. He wasn't necessarily ineffective. He did have a blaster. He was able to shoot back, but you know, he's not he's not necessarily the person you want next to you in a firefight, having your back. And you know, that was it, man. Speeder bike chase, the Trexen Marauder, TIE fighters, you know, Razor Crest saving the day. I mean, lots of action, firefights. You know, stormtroopers getting their asses handed to them. I mean, this is great. This is fun. This is the Star Wars that I fell in love with when I was a kid, right? This excitement, this energy, this adventure that you go on, where it's just like you're sitting there and you're like, this is so fun. This is so fun to watch. And this was a fun episode. For me, it was a really fun episode. So anyway, guys, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think. What do you think about the laboratory? Do you think they're cloning Snoke? Do you think they're cloning the Empire? Do you think they're creating Snoke? What are they doing? Are these for the Dark Trooper army that Moff Gideon seems to be building? What do you think about that whole entire thing? And what did you think of the episode overall? And how much are you looking forward to finally seeing Ahsoka Tano next week? Actually in a few days. So anyway, guys, as always, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment down below, even if it's just to say hi. It does help the video get some more views here, and you know, that's always a good thing. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing, and I will see you guys over the weekend with a new video for episode 5, when we finally get to review and see Ahsoka Tano for the first time on our screens, portrayed by an actress. It's exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. So guys, thank you for watching. As always, be happy, be safe, be healthy. Have a good night. Bye-bye.